Alright, this Incineroar shield flickered 4 times followed by 3 fair callouts with 2 reactionary nairs in between. This means that if he follows the same pattern that my calculations allude to, he will shield grab if I land directly in front of him, allowing me to hit this clean tomahawk spot dodge into a fade back F smash. It's go time. Why does it always seem like the smartest guy in the room is marginally worse than the guys doing well in the actual bracket?
One of the most common questions I get from my Metaphy students is, are top players reading people or are they reacting to people in neutral? Because top players are always so correct, they're always right, they're always so fast. Are they just geniuses, or do they have some human reaction time that I'll never have? And the answer is really neither. So a read is when you're expecting something, so you start doing something in advance about the option you're expecting, right? If you expect the opponent to roll in and start charging before it's smashed, if they do it, you look like a genius. If they don't, you look like an idiot. So reads are hype.
It's always these brainiacs who throw the hardest, but why is this the case? If you know how to win, you should be the one winning, right? Well, I think there's a distinct difference between professionalism and competition. Smash is both a creative, intellectual game and also a sport, but I believe Ultimate leans more towards being a sport, which is a lot more work-oriented. So what are the differences between creativity and work, or that raw grinding? Creative skills are needed when one problem has multiple solutions, and creating your own solution is very individual to your own skill set and fundamentals. Competitive skills are needed when the solutions are obvious but need to be performed better than others, like when 2 banjos meet and the neutral win is determined by who screws up the first egg. Smash Ultimate is strange because the meta is pretty balanced right now with the healthy Steve ban, but it's very counterpicky. It's not even clear what is counterpicking the top players anymore. Some would say it's characters and bad matchups, but others would argue a niche playstyle is more of a counterpick. With the number of viable characters and playstyles being so high, preparing for all of them is an extreme undertaking. It's super confusing and might need more than what a normal person is capable of. This in turn makes your success much higher if you practice what you're already good at, which guarantees your success when you get a good bracket, even if you have to hold the losses when you get a bad bracket. Obviously, it's better to account for both good and bad matchups, but my point still stands. It's much better to squeeze out the good days than to accommodate the bad days. This goes back to my original point, since accommodating difficult matchups is more of a creative thing, and being a better version of yourself is more sporty. Being sporty and just practicing what you think is most important at the moment is heavily favored over the problem-solving part of Ultimate, which is why the smart people who have the most wisdom usually kinda suck. It's also apparent that the longer a game is out, the more it favors much more rigid playstyles. Melee is a good example of this if you pay attention to the refinement you see in top players, such as Cody, Laud, and HBox, as they make a big point not to let anything slip through the cracks. Usually, a developed meta conventualizes the best flowcharts and strategies, and the longer a game's been out, the deeper and more rooted these strategies become. What makes Melee so cool and awesome is the fact that it still has a lot of nuance and creative aspects even with this refinement. Ultimate gets a lot of its diversity from its huge roster, so one character's strategy and flowcharts might just naturally counterpick another character or playstyle, which makes it very hard to be bulletproof in bracket. I do think the meta is finally starting to shape out though, after all that hubbub with the Rona and Hitler Pass 2. People are starting to realize who the actual top tiers of the game are. I think shielding being so strong and lagless aerials also being super strong creates a really difficult meta to understand, but as it progresses, the game is starting to flesh itself out, and Incineroar doesn't seem as bad as it used to be. Another thing to note is that characters who struggle to kill instead of hitting the whip usually get better as the meta gets more set in stone. Think of Bayo, Sheik, Inkling, Zero Suit, Pikachu. Think of it like how much pathfinding a character has to do before finding a kill. If most of the routes are standardized, finding the killing blow is a lot more realistic, like how Pikachu needs to set up an edge guard before finding the final blow. A more developed meta makes these routes more standardized. Usually smart people want to use their huge IQs as an advantage in the game, and gravitate towards these difficult characters with many answers to common problems, while a 9-to-5 businessman Samus main will bomb up till that ledge every single stock. This is another reason why the Smarty Pantses are less good in Ultimate specifically, with such an undefined meta. This is a huge instance of the brawn prevailing over the brain. Now watch as these players perfectly demonstrate the points I just made.